Hello, everybody. I am your host, Chris Rimbolt, and this is the All with AI podcast. Today, I have a recommendation for you, and it's not going to be a super long episode. We have just 6 things that I think we should be working on as we go into the age of AI. So these are soft skills, and I believe that as we approach the technological singularity, the point beyond which we cannot predict what will happen, these skills will be even more valuable than they are today. They are already very highly valuable today, but in an AI-enabled world, these things will really put you a league above. Think about yourself and think about what level of human you are. If this is a video game, what level of person are you? And focus on getting to the next level. That's how I live my life, and I have found it to be a very rewarding outlook. But this episode won't go too long. Let's talk about the 6 different soft skills that I would recommend having in the age of AI and why I recommend having them. And these are things that I myself am working on, and I would not recommend them to you if I did not personally find them important for me. First, creativity. Let's talk about creativity. Creativity is a skill that develops when you encourage its development. So what's creativity to you? To me, it's the ability to think outside the box in any scenario. Yes, it's involved with making art, making music, but it's also about just combining novel concepts in your mind. Think about different ways to do things, combinations that haven't existed yet or you haven't tried yet. So when AI is standing by ready to do any task in your life, creativity will actually become very valuable. So if you have robots in the physical world and AI inside your computer, and it's just sitting there waiting for you to tell it what to do, having creativity will make that much, much more rewarding situation. So eventually, I think we will be able to curate our own reality. This is going to be because I believe virtual reality will get better, and we'll also have brain-computer interfaces, and probably AI will help us figure these things out. But we'll be able to curate our own reality, and creativity will enrich the experience of creating your own reality. And also, one final thing about creativity: creative people provide interesting opportunities for other members of society to engage with each other. And that makes the creative person just more valuable. Think about the creators that you engage with, whether they're artists or entrepreneurs or musicians, whatever they are, they create a space and a narrative within which people can engage with each other, and that increases their value. I like the idea of being a valuable person, and I want to exercise my creativity and create a space for people to engage with each other and discuss important things. And next, let's talk about presence. Presence is the practice of being in the moment. So think about just being conscious of what's happening right now. Presence is kind of like creativity in that it's a skill that you have to develop by actively working on it. And it's going to be kind of hard at first. At least it was for me. Some people are just naturally very, very good at being present. But for me, it took quite a while. And I'm not necessarily super good at just being in the moment. But it is the ability to observe the present moment without being lost in thought, like casting your mind forward to the future, trying to predict things, or analyzing things that have happened in the past. Instead, bringing your attention to what's happening right now. And this will create observational skills that will allow you to notice opportunities and risks that you would not otherwise have. So this is one main reason I recommend having the quality of presence in your life, especially as we go into the world of AI, because it's going to be important that you notice opportunities and risks. Also, resting in the present moment can really help your neurochemistry stabilize. So if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, That's generally thinking too much about the future or the past, respectively. If you rest in the present moment, that can help your chemicals balance themselves out. It can help your serotonin and your dopamine and your cortisol to all reach a healthier baseline if you remain in the present moment and practice doing that. And also being present feeds back into creativity. So if you want to work on your creativity, work on your presence as well. They feed into each other. And next topic, the next soft skill that I recommend having as we approach the singularity, which I predict will occur in about 2029. I think Ray Kurzweil is right about that. The next soft skill for having in the singularity is physical health. So physical health has many aspects to it, and I'll talk about some of the things that I practice. This could be its own podcast, and it actually is many podcasts. So I'll let the experts cover what they do and just talk about what I have experienced. So first off, not a lot of people do this. I practice longevity habits, and that is the idea that there are things that you can do that will extend your lifespan or at least your health span. My goal is to live to at least 150, and that sounds like science fiction because we don't know of anybody that's done that before. But even if I don't, my longevity practice makes me healthier right now, and ideally will keep me healthy all the way towards very near the end. So these habits are intermittent fasting. So pretty much every day, with the exception of a couple of days on the weekend where I eat brunch with my wife, we will have brunch usually around 10 or 12 in the early to middle of the day. But the rest of the time I'm doing intermittent fasting, which means that I don't eat anything other than take my athletic greens, which I don't actually believe breaks a fast. I don't eat anything until about 4 o'clock, right around after 4 o'clock. I have my workout. I do a lot of productive things during the day, and I have no lack of energy and no lack of physical strength by doing this, I should say. But I usually don't eat until about 4 o'clock, and then I'm done eating by 8 or 8:30. So there's a pretty narrow window in the day when I do that, when I eat anything, when I do anything that will break my fast. And the reason I do that is because of something called adversity mimetics, which is a term that Dr. David Sinclair has. He is a longevity researcher at Harvard. But adversity mimetics is about making your body think that it is going through some extra hard times. So if it's hungry a lot of the day, it will turn on and off your genetic expressions in such a way that it preserves your body and promotes your health. I have visibly gotten less aged, I believe, since I started doing this about a year and a half ago. I believe I look younger than I did then. And my friends and family say so as well. So I think it's working. There's also supplements you can take, and you don't have to take supplements to be working on your longevity, but I do. I take an NMN supplement. That's NMN supplement, and also resveratrol. I'm not here to be sponsored by any supplement companies or anything, but those are two things that I take that absolutely seem to make a difference. And those are things that Dr. Sinclair takes as well himself. All right, so that's enough about longevity. I think that there's some exciting research there, but that could be its own episode. And I think AI will make some progress in that science alongside human researchers. Next, for physical health, diet. So for diet, I just try to eat less processed foods, fewer things with a bunch of ingredients on the label, and just focus more on just simple whole ingredients and also gut health. So my morning athletic greens can really help make sure that my entire digestive system has the right microorganisms, right microbiome to help me have energy and be symbiotic with my goals. It makes a huge difference if your gut microbiome is healthy or not. And by the way, drinking alcohol is very bad for your gut microbiome. And I do like beer. I'm not totally anti-alcohol, but I never have more beers in a week than hours I spent at the gym. And I spend at least 7 hours a week in the gym, and that's my max limit for the whole week for beer. And I find that I'm actually even having fewer than that during the week. And we'll get into why when we talk about the next couple of topics down, which is sleep. But as far as gut health goes, definitely prioritize that. And if you are consuming alcohol, I would recommend taking some kind of probiotic. It could be Athletic Greens, which I really like just because of everything else that comes with it. And again, they're not sponsoring me to say that. I just personally really like them. Or a different supplement for your microbiome. All right, that is diet. Now, exercise, as I mentioned, I go to the gym every single day. I spend an hour there. And something I do to make that more appealing to me is I will have a fiction book that I like to listen to. It's usually a sci-fi series or something. Right now I'm going through the 3-Body Problem series, but it's some sort of thing that I would never really let myself listen to because it's quote unquote not productive. It's some sort of entertainment, but I can listen to that at the gym. And I think that I should probably retrain my thinking as to what's productive or not, because I find my imagination and creativity increasing when I consume fictional content that I enjoy. But that's one way that I make going to the gym more fun. For exercise, I would just recommend do something that gets you moving that you enjoy doing. So for me, I like listening to sci-fi, and if I listen to it at the gym, that's great. For you, it might be getting out in the wilderness, it might be hiking, it might be climbing mountains, it might be riding a bicycle, whatever it is. If you enjoy doing it, you're more likely to go do it, and thus more likely to improve your physical health. And finally, under the physical health soft skills here, let's talk about sleep. This is something super underrated. I was really a part of hustle culture from probably 2016 to 2020, where it was all about, hey, if you're not getting enough sleep, well, just sleep faster, and kind of like making sleep one of the less important things in your life. And if you slept too much, maybe you were being lazy. I have since rethought that because it is very important to your energy throughout the day and your ability to focus and be present and your physical health. Everything relies on your body being able to get good sleep. Now, how much sleep you need will differ person to person. Usually it's in 90-minute increments. Those are called ultradian cycles, and we sleep in kind of these 90-minute chunks. And I try to go for 5 90-minute cycles, which equals 7.5 hours, and that's plenty of sleep for me. And that's probably more than some folks that listen to this get, and maybe less than others. But 7.5, which is 5 ultradian cycles, works really well for me. And if I did not have any alcohol, which I mentioned I would talk about this in the sleep part here, if I did not have any alcohol, the sleep is high quality. So another thing about sleep is if you do consume alcohol, it will decrease the quality of sleep that you get. Just listen to the Andrew Huberman episode about the quality about alcohol. He has an episode on Huberman Lab that's all about alcohol and its effects on your health. One of the biggest things that it does is create impediments to sleeping well. So even though it might feel like you fall asleep faster, if you have a drink, I promise you, your sleep is worse. And another thing about sleep and alcohol, if you are doing anything where you're learning something during the day, if you are reading something or listening to an audiobook or learning a skill or practicing a sport or an instrument, the learning that takes place, the writing to the long-term memory of what you learned or did during the day, that takes place while you sleep, especially on the first night, also some on the second and third nights. But on the first night, that is when it's like recorded to your hard drive. So for me, if I learned something that I find very valuable during the day, then I will avoid any alcohol that night because it is important for me that gets written to my hard drive. So I really like having a beer on a Friday night and a Saturday night. So on Friday and Saturday, I will generally push the things that don't require any learning or any acquisition of new skills to those days, and just kind of use strategy for when I want to consume my reward craft beers. But that's physical health. That's the third soft skill here after creativity, presence, and then we have physical health. We have 3 more to go. These ones aren't as long. Next, I would recommend diversity of interests. Diversity of interests means like the opposite of addiction. So again, back to Dr. Huberman, he talks about how addiction is it's a gradual narrowing of interests. And the opposite of addiction is the widening of interests. So for me, this means following my interests as they come up and not just squashing them and saying that's unproductive. I may have specific times during the day or week during which I will almost schedule. I don't literally put it on my calendar, but I will allow myself to play video games, or I will allow myself to work on like vintage electronics or listen to a music recording like an album and just do nothing else. There are certain times during the week that I will do that. And also I have a hobby of tracking and recovering weather balloons. And during the weather, in the summer, they tend to land near me. So this is another hobby that I enjoy, is recovering weather balloons. But I have an enormous array of interests, aviation as well, and writing code, actually building AI projects as well. So a diversity of interests is important to keep you connected to life, because if your interests are narrowing, chances are there's some kind of addiction. Often it's social media. I think that's probably one of the biggest addictions right now. It's probably the number one, just scrolling on your phone. But I would say a diversity of interests is very important. And as well as hobbies, I would recommend self-education in the soft skill of diversity of interests. Self-education is, for me, one of my biggest things that I do. I will research the topics that I'm interested in just endlessly. I'm constantly learning about artificial intelligence, aerospace, and really those are my 2 topics that I'm learning right now. But I will go learn about them from YouTube. I will find the people that are working directly on those things and read what they're up to on Twitter every day. And I will generally avoid any mainstream sources for these things, but I will also seek out people that are literally working in these things that I can just talk to. So I would recommend definitely focus on self-education. Don't stop learning. It is so much fun to learn stuff that you care about, and that can actually end up in you having a career in something that you enjoy instead of just like one of the defaults that are the standard for our society where you're in a cubicle or something. But that's diversity of interests. And for our 5th soft skill, speaking of personal growth. Yes, personal growth is something that I've been working on for a while. I would say I really started in sometime between 2016 and 2018. That's when I got my Audible subscription of 2 books a month, and most of the books that I chose, over half of them, are related to some form of personal growth or self-education. But why should you work on personal growth? It sounds kind of like one of those guru-y things that maybe a lot of materialist type people aren't going to take seriously. Take it from me, someone who is very scientific minded and firsthand experience minded. Personal growth is extremely important. Number 1, mental health. So mental health affects your entire experience of life. It affects the quality of your work. It affects how much you enjoy your hobbies. It affects your diversity of interests. It affects your physical health and your ability to practice presence and creativity. So mental health Yeah, we live in our mind, right? Mental health is very important, and personal growth is about growing that mental health, working on the things that are making you mentally unhealthy, and not accepting that as your reality if it is unhealthy. Mystical experience. I said earlier that we live in our mind, and yes, that's true, but mystical experience is really about getting your consciousness outside of just your brain, or at least the experience of that. So mystical experience is an important factor of personal growth that generally the materialist type people don't really take super seriously. But to me, I think it's like the mystical experience is like magic in real life. It's incredibly interesting, just learning about it. And some people will use psychedelics to experience the mystical experience, but you don't have to do that. Just practicing extreme presence can actually bring you into a mystical experience. You can meditate, or you can become very much in tune with your environment. This especially works when you're out in the woods or in nature. Mystical experience is a huge part of personal growth. It's hard to explain it. You just have to experience it. Another thing for personal growth is I would recommend finding some form of artistic expression. There's some sort of energy that is present in the world that seems to help us discover things, make progress in our civilization, make really cool art, and tie us together through our collective human experience and love. So artistic expression is about tuning into that aspect of the human experience. It could be a way that you help yourself grow. Artistic expression can really help you bring your ideas and thoughts and feelings out into whatever medium you're working on. But I find that the artistic expression is highly, highly, highly helpful to me for just becoming a more full human, for diving into the human experience. And that's what personal growth is about, is growing your experience, expanding your experience is what I would say that personal growth is. And artistic expression really, really helps you do that. And finally, of course, meditation. Meditation is the biggest soft skill. So this is skill number 6. The biggest soft skill that I would recommend, period, because it allows you to build on everything else in here. Meditation helps creativity. It helps presence. It helps your physical health. It helps you increase your diversity of interests. It helps your personal growth. Meditation, for me, is the foundation of my human experience. And I don't know what it is about it, but sitting with my legs crossed and my eyes closed, sitting alertly but relaxed for 20 minutes or so, for some reason that makes a big difference in the quality of my life. I'll let you do your own research on that, but meditation, I don't know what it is. It just gives me energy. It allows me to see things from a much clearer perspective. My ideas are better after I meditate versus a day where I skip my meditation. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like some perfect Zen guy who just meditates every single day on the dot. In fact, probably most days I miss meditating, but it's so powerful that the days that I do practice it, it makes a really big difference. There are some apps you can get, like Calm is one, and there's some other ones as well, but you don't have to have an app to meditate. Meditating is free. And I would say to start with meditation, just pay attention to something that doesn't make your mind wander. That's why they tell you to pay attention to your breath so much when they're teaching meditation, because breathing is one of those things that can be both conscious and unconscious. And if you find yourself going back to your breath just kind of going automatic, that means that you've lost the train of your meditation. So following the breath, just paying attention to your breathing, and not using that to shut out your thoughts, but just using that as where you focus your attention instead of on whatever anxiety, depression, or interesting thing you're learning or thing you forgot to do or whatever it is that pops into your mind. And it will. Don't worry, it will. Don't judge yourself when it does. But focusing on intentionally breathing and just making that your focus, it's like taking everything off your plate. That's the point of it. It's not to chain you to your breath. It's not like some stressful thing that you're paying attention to my breath. That's not how it is. It's like, oh, everything's off my plate. And the only thing I have to worry about is breathing, because I have to breathe to stay alive. And I'm just going to just sit here and breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe. And that, my friends, that will change your life. You do that for 20 minutes a day. Sit there with your eyes closed and breathe on purpose and make that the only thing that's on your plate and nothing else matters. Just breathing, just being here and breathing, because you are worthy, you are awesome, you are an incredible human being, and the only thing that's expected of you right now is to breathe. If you do that for 20 minutes a day, I promise the rest of these things will get easier. So, in review, we have soft skills in the age of AI. We have creativity. Highly recommend creativity, because if you have infinite AI power at your hands, what are you going to do with it? Be creative. Be awesome. The next one was presence. The more present you are in this moment, instead of trying to be in the past or future, which are impossible, but we can cast our imaginations there. The more present you are, the more stuff you notice right now. And right now is when they matter. And that really matters during the age of AI. Physical health. Physical health will be very good, because if you take care of yourself now and say AI discovers some sort of longevity regimen, which allows you to extend your life if you're already healthy, especially, that will really help. Or maybe AI doesn't go so well and we have a extinction level event, and maybe you're needed to help rebuild civilization and humanity. Well, you're not going to really be able to do that if you're not in good physical health. I don't think things will go that way, but you have nothing to lose with physical health, especially going into the singularity here. And then our fourth thing was diversity of interests, which means self-educate and give yourself some hobbies. Allow your mind to wander through the richness of life and pick things up, experience them, enjoy them. And it's okay if you put them back down. That's what the point of the diversity of interests is. You might have a hobby that lasts a week, or you might find something that lasts a lifetime. Who knows? It's the point of it is the discovery and the self-education. But yeah, personal growth, work on that, get your mental health in order, because there's going to be a lot of anxious and confused people. This is the first time that we have had a tech development curve, which will probably go faster than people will be able to adjust to it on a societal level. But if you have good mental health, you can adjust to the tech change as it happens, no matter how fast it happens. Just get your mental health in order. Don't let it give you vertigo. Technological vertigo. And finally, meditation. Meditation helps all this. And even if you are a skeptic of the singularity happening, meditation will make your entire life better, regardless of whether the singularity is indeed a thing that occurs. But that's it. I'm Chris Rimble. This has been All with AI. Thank you for listening here to episode 4. And I want you to know you are an awesome human being. I love you, and you are worthy of awesomeness. You have a great day. Thank you for watching. Tell your friends. Send the episode. Love y'all.